Have you ever wondered how a band born in the 1960s can still dominate headlines in 2026? Because what's happening right now with the Rolling Stones isn't just a comeback, it's something much bigger. And honestly, almost no one is really talking about the real reason behind it. We're not just looking at a legendary band releasing new music, we're witnessing one century. One of the most powerful examples of longevity, reinvention, and strategic dominance in the entire music industry. So the real question is, how are the Rolling Stones still winning in a world dominated by streaming, TikTok, and artists half their age? Let's break it down. The Rolling Stones are not just a band, they are a cultural force. For over 6 decades, they've shaped rock music, influenced generations of artists, and built one of the most recognizable brands in music history. From the explosive energy of their early years to their massive global tours, they've consistently done one thing better than almost anyone else. They adapt. And that's exactly why what's happening right now matters. Because their latest move isn't based on nostalgia, it's based on strategy. And here's where things start to get interesting. Reports and industry insiders suggest that the Rolling Stones are preparing a new project that goes far beyond a traditional album release. We're talking about a global rollout, a multi-language campaign, a strategy designed to reach audiences across different cultures simultaneously. Now think about that for a second. Most modern artists struggle to break into international markets, but a band that started in the analog era is now leveraging global positioning better than many digital native artists. That's not accidental, that's intentional. And here's the crazy part. This might be the smartest move of their entire career, because the music industry has changed completely. Streaming platforms dominate, attention spans are shorter, new artists explode overnight and disappear just as fast. But the Rolling Stones are playing a different game. They're not chasing trends. They're building moments, and moments are what create legacy. Now let's go deeper. There are three key reasons why the Rolling Stones are still dominating in 2026, and once you understand these, everything starts to make sense. Number one, brand power. The Rolling Stones have something that cannot be replicated overnight: instant recognition. The logo, the attitude, the identity. You don't need to explain who they are. You already know. And in today's world of infinite content, that kind of recognition is priceless because attention is the most valuable currency, and they own it. But brand alone is not enough, and this is where most legacy artists fail. They rely too much on their past. The Rolling Stones don't, which brings us to the second reason: adaptation. They've evolved with every era: vinyl, cassette, CD, digital downloads, streaming, social media, and now global digital campaigns. They don't resist change, they use it. And that's a huge difference. Because many artists try to protect their identity, the Stones expanded. They understand that evolution doesn't mean losing authenticity, it means staying relevant. And relevance is worth survival. But here's the third reason, and this one is the most powerful: legacy effect. The Rolling Stones are no longer just competing with today's artists. They exist above the competition. They've reached a point where every new release is not just content, it's an event. And events generate attention at a completely different scale. Think about it. When a new artist drops a song, it might trend. When the Rolling Stones move, the entire industry watches. That's influence, that's power. And that's exactly what they're leveraging right now. But here's where things get even more interesting, because if you compare this strategy to modern artists, you start to see a huge contrast. Take someone like Taylor Swift or Drake. They dominate charts, they dominate streaming, they dominate fan engagement. But their model is based on frequency: more releases, more content, more visibility. The Rolling Stones? They do the opposite. They create anticipation, they disappear, then they return stronger. And in a world overloaded with content, scarcity becomes power. Let that sink in. Now here's something even deeper. This isn't just about music. This is about positioning. The Rolling Stones are positioning themselves not just as artists, but as timeless icons. And that changes everything. Because when you stop being just an artist, you stop competing on the same level. You're no longer fighting for streams, you're defining culture. And that's exactly what they're doing. But let's talk about something most people ignore: emotion. Because behind all the strategy, there's something much more human: dedication, passion, consistency. Think about the level of commitment required to stay active for over 60 years. Most careers don't last 10, most trends don't last 2, and yet, they're still here, still creating, still performing, still evolving. And that sends a powerful message, because success in music is not just about talent, it's about endurance, and endurance is rare. Now here's the real twist. What if the Rolling Stones are not just succeeding despite their age, but because of it? Think about that. In a world obsessed with youth, they represent experience. In a world driven by speed, they represent depth. And that contrast makes them even more powerful, because they stand out, and standing out is everything. So what can we learn from this? Whether you're an artist, a creator, or someone building a brand, there are 3 lessons you cannot ignore. First, build something recognizable, because if people don't remember you, nothing else matters. Second, adapt without losing your identity, because the market will change, with or without you. Third, play the long game, because real success is not measured in weeks or months, it's measured in decades, and very few people are willing to think that far ahead. Now let's go back to the beginning. The Rolling Stones are not just making music, they're making history again. And this time, they're doing it in a completely different way. A smarter way, a more strategic way, a way that blends legacy with innovation. And that's why this moment matters, because we're not just watching a band return. We're watching a masterclass in staying relevant, in staying powerful, in staying unforgettable. So the next time you hear about the Rolling Stones, don't just think about the past, think about the future. Because if they're still dominating in 2026, then maybe they never really left. And maybe they're about to take over one more time.